Hello folks, this is Mike Cayley 7. By the way, today is July 4th, Independence Day. So happy anniversary America. This is a beautiful day and I'm out and about and got some Guinness in the back. Guinness baby. And yeah, so what did I learn on my motorcycle trip to West Virginia with all my friends? I learned a few things. One is I learned about my increasing, I don't want to call it avoidance maybe, preference for large group riding. It has gotten even stronger in me. I used to not want to ride in a large group like 300. It's been a long thing for me since I did that years ago. And the reason I didn't like to ride in that huge group of 300 was it was a bunch of stop and go, very hot traffic, and the person who was staggered to my left kept falling behind me and passing me and falling behind me and passing me. So that wasn't very nice. And then the person just took off halfway through the ride after kind of sitting there and doing nothing, and I was about to pass on the left. I think that by that point that person was on my right. Cuts across my lane. There's a Root Beer Jones basically. It takes off down a side street right in the middle of the ride. Did not like it. And I didn't really ride in large groups until the Hootenanny back in 2016. The Homestead Hill Hootenanny, which happened at my house. We rode all around North Carolina. That was fun. And that was generally okay. We realized that we had to have different groups, you know, the fast, medium, and slow group. We learned that from that Hootenanny. And I think something that I've learned increasingly at each one of these is the larger the group, the less the fun. Because people get stuck at lights, people don't have the same riding abilities, and it's dangerous, I think. Somebody made a comment that accidents happened because I was in the ride. That has nothing to do with it. They were ahead of me. I was behind them. I took a very leisurely stance on this ride. Did not push it when I was with the large group at all. I was right in the middle of the pack, content to go at a normal pace, and people ahead of me in the fast group ended up going down. So that wasn't so good, having to stop and make sure everybody's okay, and waving traffic and making sure the bike is rideable, all that stuff, although vitally important, is something that, you know, you don't ever want to experience on a ride. So then when the ride was really big, like 27 people or whatever, I wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling it. I felt very, very much like somebody was going to have a bad day, so I didn't go. And Moose 3971 and Harley Trek also opted not to go. Although we did catch up with them at one point at the bridge, and that was nice to see them and hang out with them a little bit. But the opportunity to ride with individual people, you can't really do on a huge group ride. So I think here's an idea for future meetups, okay? One is, do like this. You say, okay, let's say it's a 3-day thing. So we arrive, and then for the next 3 days we ride, and then we go home. I think that's a really good meetup. Day 1, have a ride to whatever X location. Day 2, have a ride to Y location, and day 3, a ride to Z location. And you can have people sign up for the various days. And say, okay, if you're going to be in this group, you know, you can go to this place this day, that place that day, and that way not everybody is going the same place at the same time. And then you would have departure times. This group will depart at this time, this group will depart at that time. If it's going to be, let's say, 2 groups of 5 going on a single ride. So, okay, the fast group, you guys will depart at 9. And then the slower group, you guys will depart at 10. Or 8 and 9, if you're really early risers. Oh, here's another thing I learned. Ready? You lean way over, keep the bike upright, and you're much more confident in a corner. That way you don't have to lean the bike so much that you scrape. I was scraping too much. That's another thing I learned. I learned that I was scraping far, far, far too much. And I was levering the bike off the damn road. And that wasn't good. In slow speed maneuvering, it's not really a bad idea. A little bit of scrape here and there. But when you're in fast cornering, you don't want to lever the bike off the wheels and then lose traction and go sliding on your metal into the guardrail or the trees or whatever, or oncoming traffic, God forbid. So when I was on the way home from the West Virginia meetup, I was practicing my cornering abilities at fast speed because I got on this really awesome road. I didn't film any of it, but it was on this great road because it was taking me around traffic, and for about 50 miles I was on pig trails and back roads that were super duper twisty. It was awesome. I burned them up, man. I was going fast. And I was really moving my body on the bike, just getting my butt all the way over, all the way over. So I think I've improved as a corner taker a little bit. So I had maxed out the lean angle on this bike to the scrapage point. And when I started sliding a bit on the pegs, I thought, you know what, I got to do a different thing, otherwise I'm going to die. So now I do that all the way over. It's called chin over wrist, apparently. So I do the cow maneuver. Like, all right, let's say here, right? So you set up for the corner, and you go like this, and you power on, and you kind of maintain the bike in an upright stance while you're leaning your body way, way out there as a counterbalance. And that seems to work. And that's, you know, of course, for extreme cornering, crazy cornering, like, you know, Isle of Man TT, aspiring goofiness, which, you know, I don't do all the time, but if I'm going to be in a situation where I really want to get on it, I think it's a good idea to kind of have that mentality. Bike upright, lean body, and on the really, really steep stuff, I just kind of hang my whole butt over like that. And it seems to do a good job. And I did get a little bit too speedy at one point. We were on this road, so I've learned that you got to be really careful. I was going through a town and I just wasn't thinking of myself there and gunned it and got pulled over for doing 66 in the 40. Didn't get a ticket. The guy was nice about it, thank God. The rest of the trip I was pretty much speed limit, except when Moose was test riding my bike, he he got it in sport mode and disappeared. And I clicked down 2 gears on his bike to try to keep up with him. There's no way I was doing it. It just, he didn't walk away, he ran away. I felt helpless to catch up to him. I got up to 100, and he was already so far gone, there's no way I was going to catch up to him, not unless he stopped. Which he did at two beautiful scenic overlooks later on this empty stretch of road that was like 10 miles long, called the Highlands Scenic Highway. And then there was one other point when I went a little bit speedy, well, not a little bit, a lot speedy. I was on some back road somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and there was a field on both sides, and I could see for about a mile and a half. And I said, sorry guys, I got to do this, and I just gunned it in sport mode and got up to about 110. And as the road started to run out ahead of me, I just slowed down and I was fine again. Nobody was there, nobody got hurt, nobody tried to keep up with me. And that was it. The rest of the time, it was pretty much locked in at the speed limit. I would find out what the speed limit was and push cruise control. for some reason, I just couldn't see the speed limit signs faster than the other guys. They're like, speed limit's 35 now. Like, oh shit, I didn't see it. I don't know what the hell I was looking at. I guess I look at the road too much. I could look to the sides a bit more. So, summary of some things that I've learned. One is, my natural inclination is to avoid large groups. It's not anybody's fault. It's just, it's not you, it's me. Second thing, I've learned how to lean the bike more effectively in fast cornering so that I don't scrape too much, because scraping is, you're reaching the limit of what the bike can do, and that's not a good thing. Because after you've reached that limit and you go over it, you're dead. So that's the second thing I learned. Third thing I learned is you got to be more cognizant of the speed limits where you're going when you're away from town. Because, you know, when I'm at home, I know what the speed limits are. I don't look at the signs because I know what they are. So pay attention to speed limit signs. And don't overdo it, of course. So that's my Kaylee 7's Motovlog for today, July 4th, 2019. I hope you guys are alright. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your comments, the nice ones. Somebody was mad because I was being really nasty to trolls, and they said it's beneath me. And yeah, I guess you're right, it is. It's really beneath me to say some of the things that I say to these trolls. So I'm going to go back to just deleting them, not giving them any answers at all, just delete them. Most people can't see the troll comments anyway, because if they use certain language, it's flagged. I set up a way to do that so that they don't appear and I have to review them first. So a lot of that stuff nobody even sees unless I approve it, because you can't reply to it unless you approve it. So I'm just going to go back to deleting. That's all. Try to raise the bar back up a bit. Alright, so stay safe out there in this blistering heat. I don't know what it is today. It's probably 90 something. And I'm wearing my Harley jacket. I'll talk to you all later.